So where do you think content marketing fits in the paid, earned, and owned media mix?
Well, it actually has sort of hooks into all of it, right? I mean, on the paid side, you almost have to use paid amplification in many cases now to get your content out there. Certainly, owned is really essentially what content marketing typically is. And if your content marketing is good enough, useful enough, then it really can trigger this enormous earned coverage. In fact, I would say that many of the most successful content marketing executions now are successful because they triggered an earned media wave behind them.
Do you think content marketing as strong as that is a real platform for brand disruption?
I think it can, but I don't think we're there yet in most cases. I think most of the content marketing sort of success stories that we would point to today, that I point to in my book and elsewhere, that you guys talk about as well, are for all intents and purposes a one-off. You know, there are examples to the contrary. I think what Lowe's does in the States with their Fix and Six program, some of the things that Coca-Cola has done. There's other examples where you really have sort of a content marketing series that can create sort of lasting brand disruption. But I think right now we're still early days in many cases. And so it's sort of like an experiment gone well, which may result in some brand disruption, but it's not consistent enough or strategic enough in most cases to really be there yet. But I think in the next couple of years, 100% yes.
Do you think brands can be less predictable when it comes to creating content and sharing it?
No doubt. I think it really helps brands to be more relatable with content. But what that really requires, it's not so much about marketing execution or marketing acumen, it's about corporate culture. I mean, all the consulting work that I do really is rooted in culture first and content second, right? If you're not culturally ready to create content that isn't about your brand, that is in fact useful or interesting or sort of one step removed or marketing sideways, it doesn't really matter how good your infographic or your ebook or your video or your anything else is, because you're just not, you don't really believe it. It's not truth.
What do you think the balance has to be between curation and creation of content in a content marketing program?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think there's going to be more and more sort of opposing forces around that creation versus curation question. I really believe you have to have both. That while creation is typically more efficacious, you're going to get more out of it because you have more control by definition. It's really, really difficult to create everything in your content program. It's expensive, right? Content ain't free, right? Far from it. It's difficult and time consuming. There's things that have to be done. So if you can have a creation program that has really interesting content, sort of tent poles, and then fill in around them with a really strong curation program, I think that's the best case scenario. I also talk a lot, Terry, about cooperative content, about creating content in cooperation with your customers and or your employees, right? One of the problems I think with content marketing today as we stand here is that in many cases it's purely a marketing department program. Of course it's called content marketing, but that doesn't mean that only marketers can do it. Everybody who works in your company, and I mean everybody who works in your company, has knowledge that your customers can benefit from. One of the best ways to do content marketing is to set that knowledge free.